guys, it's Allison here, and I am getting ready to start my layout for LAYOUTADAY Day 7. So the prompt today, there was two different adventures we could choose from. The first one being, what is the best advice, or some good advice that you try to use to live your life every day? And then the other option was to give yourself a time challenge. So I feel like the best adventure for me to choose today is time challenge. So I'm going to set myself a challenge for 30 minutes. So in order to sort of ease my challenge, I'm going to pull my papers first before I turn on my timer. And this is a photo I'm going to scrap. I also wanted to make things easy for myself and just do a one photo layout. That way I don't have to worry about photo composition and trying to fit everything in. All I need to do is fit one photo on my 12 by 12 piece of paper, and that seems like a pretty easy thing to do. And I can also have some fun with some paper layering and embellishment and that kind of thing. So this is in the back lot at the studios, and I happen to know I've done one other layout in the back lot. So I wanted to reference that before I pulled my papers so that I can make sure that even if they're not necessarily side by side, they will relate to each other. So this is a layout that I've already completed. Hopefully you're not getting glare on that. It's the night bus, because literally this was the first thing we saw, and so that was the first pictures we took. So there's a lot of purple on this. My extra challenge is how to bring purple into a picture of a very brown house. Thankfully my daughter is wearing a purple coat, so that will help. So I've gone ahead and pulled some things ahead of time, and then I'll show you one other thing too before we get started. So I've gone through my bin of paper scraps for this album, and I've just pulled out some things that I think I could work into the layering. This cut apart, I have a few different strips for that cut apart. I've got some yellow hatch that I could use for some journaling. This paper, I don't think I'll be using any of the ones from this side, but I have been trying to cut these lightning bolts out, and since this is a picture of the house that Harry Potter grew up in, I think lightning bolts would be very applicable. This is another journaling box that I could potentially use. And then this is from Little by Little. I don't know if I'll use any of this, but I thought I would have it on hand just in case as I'm creating the page, one of these makes sense. The other side is that, which I don't think is going to work. And this is the other half of that paper from the layout. So I don't think I will use the other half of it. That would be too similar, but I could cut a strip or a square or something. And then just some other papers that might work. It is a picture of a house in England, and it was sort of spit and rain, so I could put on some raindrops. I've got a nice galaxy print which brings in the navy and the purples. You can change the world, which Harry eventually did. Some more navy, and then more of that cut apart. I think it belongs. This all belongs together. Okay, so those are my scraps, but I do need a sheet of full-size paper. So I want to show you one other stack of papers that I have. This is a stack of papers that I have pulled out to use on not only this album, but the albums that I'm going to make about our trip in general. So our trip involved a week in Scotland, a week in England, and about 4 or 5 days in Paris. There's a lot of different themed items in here, but I thought I would have a quick flip through and see if there's anything that I can use as a full background sheet for this particular project. So you see lots of different things, some very enchanted, royally, lots of map prints. We saw swans at one point, so I thought I would maybe work that in. Not appropriate for this page. I contemplated using the owls but I do have photos of the Potter house that got destroyed in the book, which I think might be a better use for this, because to me the owls for Harry are a happy memory and this house is not, so I want to save this for a different, not that, you know, his destroyed house is a happy memory, but it involves his parents, which is more sort of sunshine and love than the Dursleys, which are very grey, gloomy, and angry. So there's a lot of prints in here that are more travel themed, aren't going to work for this particular project. I've just pulled out papers from Chamel's Go Now Go. I have the 12 by 12 paper pad that would work in there. I have a lot of bicycle prints in here because we took a bicycle tour of Versailles. Pink. I don't think so. There's another owl print. Stars. I could use something like this. It would just be kind of tricky to make sure that England stays highlighted, so I think I'll leave that for now. Globes. That is a photo map of London, but I'll probably use that when I scrapbook pictures of us in London. I just don't think pink is the way I want to go with this particular album. Could do that. Possibly. Okay, I'm going to pull that one out as a potential. Because of all the airplanes and boats on here and the lines, I just don't think that's the right paper. Could look at that one though. It's quite stylized, but I could add some nice layers to the back. It'd be hard to bring in the purple though. You know what, I'll pull it aside and keep moving. That one could work because we've got the blues. Be easy enough to bring the purples in. As you can see, I've got a real variety. Before I even started scrapbooking anything on this album, I went through all my papers basically and pulled out all the papers that I thought might relate to travel, to England, to Scotland, to France, to family. And then I also did make a few purchases of specifically themed papers. Now the one I thought on here that I might, the only problem is it's very red, but that might be a good one. Keep calm and carry on. Might be good. Of course there is this giant map of England. Okay, well I'll put this on top for now and I'll think about it. So let's see where we're at. I've got these 3 sheets. You know what? I'm gonna reject this one off top. I just don't think I can pull the colors into it that I need. And then I am sort of leaning towards this. I think I can make the colors work better on this than this one. So there we go. Decision made. Okay, so now that I have papers, I will quickly grab some embellishments and I'll just stick them to one side. I've already pulled out my glittery wood grain letter stickers. Those are the only embellishments I've pulled out so far. So I'm gonna pause the camera, I'm gonna grab some embellishments, and then that way I've got all my papers, I got embellishments, and then I can set my timer for 30 minutes and go. Wish me luck. Okay, I've got a pile of embellishments off to one side. I've got my papers and I've got my photos. So I think we are ready to set the timer. So I'm gonna use my husband's iPad, set it for 30 minutes. Wish me luck. So I just wanted to make a comment about why I chose 30 minutes. I mean, I could have chosen any length of time, but for me, 30 minutes has always been sort of the ideal length of time to put a layout together. If you have been a member of Scrap Happy for years, you will probably remember Lane Eamon talking about how she used to scrap when the kids were little, and 30 minutes was the length of a Dora video, and that was basically how long she had to scrap. And that's kind of stuck with me, so that was my my thinking, and that's why I chose 30 minutes. Okay, so I started by cutting off the branding strip. That map print is from Echo Park paper, by the way. I don't know what collection it is. And then I'm just cutting boxes to fit behind my photo. I matted it with the navy because I wanted to have that dark border, and then the rain print, and then that stripy pattern. And now I'm just trying to find longer pieces that I can layer underneath and on top that won't necessarily add a ton of bulk, but they will add a lot of interest and help to tell the story as well. There's a lot of browns in the picture, in the house. So I feel like pulling in that wood grain is a good choice. And I wasn't sure where to cut it, so I eventually just kind of was like, okay, I'm just going to leave this until I'm actually ready to stick everything down, and then I'll figure it out. That's called the lazy man's way. And now I'm punching out some of those lightning bolts. I am punching out 2 yellow ones and 1 of the navy ones. Just kind of, it's almost purple, but not quite. And I had pulled out a couple of 4x6 journaling cards from Simple Stories. I like the sentiments on them. But in the end, I decided not to go with that. As you may know, because I say it often enough, I am a big fan of Shamel. And I love what she does with all her paper layers. And she recently did a layout where she basically used every single collection she's ever made for American Crafts. And the number of layers on that layout was insane. I just can't do that. Somehow I reach layer saturation with about 4. So pulling in those 4x6 journaling cards to me was just going like 1 to 2 layers too much. But I am pulling in that card there. It's actually, there was a 12x12 paper in her, it could be Glitter Girl, it might be one of the other ones, one of her collections anyways, and it had several different larger designs as part of the ledger print, I guess you could say. I'm not describing that very well, but so this is one that I had cut out a long time ago intending to use and hadn't, so to get it on the layout today was quite gratifying. And now it's time to get my title down, so I've got to get my liquid glue because heaven knows these don't actually stick on their own. And I'm just going for the very basic, and it's going to be called Number 4 Privet Drive, because that is the address of the house. Anyone who has read the books knows. I like the way the wood grain down at the bottom, like even though I have covered up a lot of that wood grain striped paper down at the bottom with my title, I think you still get that sort of bookending of wood grain at the top and then wood grain at the bottom. And it really works with the tones in the photo. So now I'm working on some embellishment, and sorry the top of the layout is cut off there a little bit. I ended up adding a couple of the strips, the ends of the strips down beneath the photo, and I added those up at the top with some clouds. I've got cloud die cuts from the Little by Little ephemera kit, and I have cloud stickers from the Glitter Girl 6x6 or 6x12 sticker sheet. And then while I was looking for embellishments, I came across some really old 2 peas in a bucket flare, and a lot of these have sayings about rain and clouds and all this kind of stuff, which I felt was highly appropriate. And even though some are showing their age, they've got some sort of like rust spots on them and things, I've decided to use them on the layout. I'm hoping that they don't completely ruin the layout over time, but you know what, it is what it is. I'm gonna be okay with that. And then I play with the placement of that pink cloud there, and it's not really talking to me, so I eventually move it, and I cover up quite a bit of that green star, but yeah, I think it's okay. You can still tell that it's a star. So I'm just flipping through the Glitter Girl sticker book to see if there's anything more in there that I want to add, and I don't really see anything. So I decided to put some small things on and then get my journaling in. So these are puffy stickers. There was 2 purple flowers, so I added those sort of around the photo, and then there was 3 yellow flowers that I've put in the three embellishment areas. And this is a set of word strips from a Gossamer Blue kit that I got a while back, and I keep pulling it out thinking I'm going to put it on the layouts, and I haven't yet. So I was actually quite pleased to find 3 that worked on this layout and get them on. And getting my journaling in, and that is almost the last thing I do. I have a couple more embellishment things that I want to add just to the side there, but I know that time is ticking down. Having an alarm set is it can be a bit intimidating. So I added 3 enamel stars and then some of the teeny tiny dark purple jewels, and that is it. Well, my timer's done, and I think my layout is actually done. So good job on me managing to squeeze it in there into that 30 minutes. And yeah, I think that works. You can still see the British Islands there, but I did manage to pull in all the different motifs I wanted and bring in some purple to make sure it goes with that very purple layout of the night bus. All right, so thanks for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you again soon.